Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. And I meant to do this sort of right after I did the last one, but you know, the other day, last night, I was like, you know what? I should start because I've got uploads every day. I could actually start watching Legends of Tomorrow, do the season reviews. I may or may not do that. Maybe I'm gonna do some things this weekend. Who knows? And then I thought to myself, wait, I never did the crossover that comes before this and sets it up. So we are talking about Heroes or Legends of Today and Yesterday, which is the name of each of the Legends of Today, Legends of Yesterday. But together, I guess they're called Heroes Join Forces, which was only called that, which I don't remember that ever actually being called the crossover name. It just keeps, I remember it keeps saying, uh, this week on the CW, Heroes Join Forces. Like it was just to tout that it was another crossover. Because when you look at the other crossovers, each crossover really has one name, and it goes part one, part two, part three. Like there's Invasion, part one, part two, part three. Elseworlds, part one, part two, part three, part four. Crashes on Infinite Earths, Crashes on Earth X, part one, part two, part three, part four. You know, actually, I think the Crest and Infinite Earths are like hour 1, 2, 3, 4. But still, it doesn't go there. But still, you know, the first two crossovers don't actually have, like, this one has Legends of Today, Legends of Yesterday, but there's not really a part 1 and part 2. Do that, but there's the Legends at the beginning. And it is a setup, sort of. Like, I remember when I first watched this, I was a little disappointed that there wasn't set up for Legends of Tomorrow. Like I was expecting Rip Hunter to show up at the end or something. There was nothing other than like a little thing that really never comes back in Legends of Tomorrow. It's like I don't know. The story here, I remember being very excited because they're finally gonna finally have a live action version of Vandal Savage, which I saw first in Justice League, on Justice League, the animated Justice League that had Vandal Savage as the villain in the 3-part Savage Time. So that was cool. But also, I do have to point it out because I know the people pointed it out. Well, actually, there was a live action version of Vandal Savage in Smallville. Yes, but at the time, I didn't know that's who it was. See, on Smallville, Dean Cain, who was once Superman, by the way, played the character of Dr. Curtis Knox, who was an immortal. However, I did not know that in the comics, Vandal Savage went by the name Curtis Knox until it's during season 1 of Legends of Tomorrow, where they go back to the 50s, I believe, and they find they're looking for someone named Curtis Knox, and it happens to be Vandal Savage in disguise under the name Curtis Knox. And I was like, wait a minute. So I had to look it up, and sure as shit, it's from the comics. So I did not know that. So for all you people out there who are about to type, well, actually, I know now. I didn't know that. If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have said, I didn't need you around. If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have said I don't need you around. I don't remember the. But anyway, so this revolves around Vandal Savage. So a lot of these earlier ones, because I don't think they perfected the crossover formula until I want to say Crest on Earth X. Invasion was good, but even they had individual stuff going on. So a lot of my complaints about the crossovers, the early ones, will be about they need to learn that individual show stuff needs to take a back seat and that deal with the crossover stuff. Like, well, one of the cliffhangers from last season, from the last crossover, I guess I should say, was that the audience was shown even though we already sort of knew from Arrow. If you don't know, on Arrow, we had a flashback because there's flashbacks all over the place. There's no flashbacks in this one, which is really weird. But there's flashbacks showing that Oliver got a girl when they were teenagers named Samantha knocked up. And it was Oliver's mother who paid her off to say that she had a miscarriage and then left. And in previous crossover, Flash versus Arrow, he bumps into Samantha in Central City. I don't know if it's at the end of that one or into the next one of the two. That set up this one connected to, and I think that is one of the only things that really fits from the individual shows. Like, there's a side plot in this one where they're in the Flash episode, I guess, the first part, which is the Flash episode, where they're trying to figure out how to make Barry faster. I don't necessarily think you needed to have that in there, as it did not actually affect the plot or any of the other characters other than Harry Wells, Jay Garrick. Not to spoil it for anyone, but just in case you don't know, Jay Garrick, put that, and Caitlin Snow and Joe West to an extent. But it doesn't affect any of our characters in the crossover one bit. So I have no idea why that's even in there. It's really just kind of a side plot. And, I've been watching The Flash for 8 years now, and it still confounds me. Like, every episode has to have a secondary plot. This most recent episode that we had at the time of me recording, there was a whole thing about Barry going to the Still Force to find Iris. And then there was a stupid-ass side plot about some bomber who may or may not be using Chester P's technology. And then the resolution was that, he wasn't actually a bomber, but someone who watched Chester's live stream and tried to make a source of energy, and it backfired, causing an explosion. Was that really needed to be in there? Did you really need... Why couldn't the entire episode be focused on going through the Still Force? You could have added so much to that. So sometimes the B plots, you don't need to have B plots in your episodes, and this one is a good example. You didn't need this B plot of them trying to make Barry faster, and then Patty Spivot seeing Harry Wells, who is from Earth 2 and not the real Harrison Wells, even though the real Harrison Wells wasn't the real Harrison Wells, it was Yobard Dawn, but still. Spoilers for The Flash, by the way. So she shoots him, and then Jay Garrick has to come in and use the Velocity 6, which he said he would never use, and not to use on Barry, which, knowing what we know about him, I don't know why. Only thing I can think of is that, I don't want to spoil it for the Flash fans, but spoiler alert for those who haven't seen The Flash. It was revealed that Jay Garrick is actually Hunter Zolomon, aka Zoom. So only thing I can think of is that he didn't want Barry to get faster. Because here's the thing, if it negatively affects you, then why wouldn't he want Barry to inject it? To inject it in himself and hurt him if he's the bad guy the entire time. It just confuses me. But he ends up saving Harrison Wells, which, again, if you're the bad guy, why would you do that? Other than, I have to pretend to be a good guy here, so I have to save him. I don't know. But I'm just saying, that whole side plot, put it in the trash can. We didn't need it. Alright? So, we start with a boat coming into Central City, and Vandal Savage comes off. He kills all these guys because he's been like, I'm going to kill you or whatever, and he comes in. I like Caspar Crump as Vandal Savage. I think he's great portrayal. I couldn't think of anyone else. So maybe have Dean Cain come back. Kind of multiverse thing, I don't know. But, yeah. That's our introduction to him. Throughout the beginning of season 2, we've had an introduction to Kendra Saunders, who is Shiera, aka Hawk Girl from the comics. Although she's okay. The character was presented as a love interest for Cisco, which another thing is if they were planning on her leaving Cisco to join the Legends to begin with, why did they ever put them in a relationship? But that doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, why put them in a relationship if you're not going to see that relationship through and she's just gonna leave? Oh, there's more mess with that on Legends season 1. We'll talk about that when we get to it, but it's not the first time that they decided to do something weird like that with this character, but just saying. And so Vandal Savage finds them, comes after them, and they are saved by the Flash, but he's going to kill her no matter what, because it's their destiny. So they decide the only way that they can be safe is to go to Central City, to go to Star City, at this point at Star City, and I believe, and work with Team Arrow. So yeah, and it's just amazing how they don't tell anyone new. Like, Roy is gone by this point, gets to season 4, but now you have Thea Queen is the new Speedy, the new Red Arrow, whatever, and she's like, I didn't know you know the Flash. We know the Flash. It's like, and then I always got to do the gag where when he super speeds him out of there, Diggle pukes every time. It's funny. Argus is mentioned here, but we don't see Lila in this one, unlike the last one, although she would be in the next one. And so they're to protect her, but they don't really know what to do. And then they go to the Arrow Loft, the Arrow, Oliver and Felicity's apartment to drink and gather and be friends. And that's when Hawkman shows up, Khufu, which, I'm sorry, but every time he says it's me, Khufu, I think of the Lion King. Kovu, Khufu, it's too similar. And I've never liked the thing, Carter Hall was this incarnation. In my opinion, Carter Hall is Hawkman. This incarnation stuff is just weird to me. Like, every incarnation I've seen of Hawkman in animated form was Carter Hall. Like, even the version on Justice League, as stupid as that character was, he was Carter Hall and he owned a museum. The version on Smallville was Carter Hall. He owned a museum. He didn't own a museum. He had an archive or something. But it was Carter Hall because that's the most known version of Hawkman. And now he says his name's Khufu and I think of Lion King. Okay? Just saying. Yeah. And so, they have a little fight and then they're told a story like, this is, we've been fighting Vandal Savage for centuries. He always kills us. We never win. He always kills us. This time it's going to be different because we have allies. And, yeah. So, yeah. Obviously it doesn't work. But I'm trying to figure out how part 1 ends. They save Wells, who cares about that? And then there's the whole thing. But I'm sorry. I watched this thing, but I forgot half of it for some reason. So yeah, and then Malcolm Merlin shows up, and starts to low down. His name is Vandal Savage, and he's an immortal, and he won't stop until he gets them and stuff. And I do like that when he just kind of appears out of the shadows again, Barry's like, is this the only way the guy knows how to make an entrance? It's funny. I like how Thea's like, that's my dad or my father. Yeah, but let's not confuse everyone. Wait, what? Huh? Who? What? And you'd think they would know who Malcolm Merlin is. I mean, hasn't he been on TV and stuff? Wasn't he a big deal during the season 1? Right? Technically, I guess he was dead during season 2, but you think that would make no... He was dead, technically, in season 2 when they met. But, like, technically, you'd think he would be known by people. I'm just saying. We do get a Damien Dark cameo at the beginning of this first part, but that's about it. I love Neil McDonough though, pretty cool. So yeah, Oliver tracks down when they're in the Central City jitters, and he sees Samantha with a little boy who's about the age that his child would be. He tracks her down and he talks to her, and she's like, "William is not your son." And I always find it weird. His son's name is William, and my son's name is William. Technically, mine was born first, so change his name to Bobby or something. I don't know. Bobby Queen. But, what is that face? But yeah, and, yeah. So then he shows up again, and he does this thing where, like, she drops the hat, and he picks it up, but, like, if she didn't drop the hat, how would he get the hair sample? He came here to get a hair sample. How would he get it if she didn't drop the hat? Like, as far as I could see, he didn't cause the hat to fall, so, I don't know, but he got a hair, gives it to Barry to do a test, and it comes back positive, that it's his child, basically. But Felicity gets wind of this. She knows something's up, and she shows up just after that, coincidentally, and Barry's not able to hide it from her, and she figures it out, and that causes problems. Boom, 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 boom. They're told to meet at this church to talk, or not church, it's a church. It's a church to talk. They're put together by Malcolm Merlin to meet at this church to talk with Angel Savage, but all it really goes is, give me Shiera and Khufu. We're not going to let you kill them. Well, then I will kill you too. I don't understand why they even had a meeting, because you know he's not going to stop. So I don't understand the point. The only thing I think was that Malcolm was intended for them to hand him over, which is, that's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense to me, but, you know. Yeah. So, yeah. And on the way there, though, as Barry is running, he ghosts, which means, this usually means he's going to time travel, which I think they only use this twice. I don't think they ever use it again for time, but he's going to time travel, because he just does it. Which, I guess it's good, because you never know when he has to time travel. But he's going to have to. He tells Cisco, and Cisco's like, don't tell me. He said, I told you not to tell me. And he's like, okay, what are you going to do? I don't know. I might have to. I don't know. And before this, though, they decide to, like, Carter's like, oh, I got to push Shiera off a building. And it doesn't work. She's saved by the Flash. And then later she's like, I got to put all my emotions away, put everything away. And she does it. And she's able to, you know, emerge, as they call it. And so they think now that's enough. She's emerged. They have Carter. They have her. They can take him down. But of course, we know that Barry's going to time travel, so it doesn't work. And everyone dies except for Barry, who time travels back in time and tells him, hey, you got to do this. You know, I time traveled. I can do that. And it doesn't work. Because the gloves they have, it doesn't work to get the staff. They find out that you need a certain meteor rock to do that with, because Kendra has a flashback to the first time they died, which Carter has never had, apparently, or Khufu. But yeah. So And then the time before, Oliver told everyone else to stay behind and have just them go. Well, this time, he, even though he doesn't remember it, he learns from his mistakes, and he, you know, brings everyone along basically to help save the day. And with that, they are able to defeat Vandal Savage by killing him with the staff of Horus, which is what he got in the first part. And yeah, they're able to kill him with it. And then a couple things that are still confusing to me happen at the end. Everything is resolved, they're all happy. And then, even though they've retconned this thing with Felicity finding out about the blood test and everything, for some reason they still have her be curious and get it out of him, which makes no sense to me because in this timeline, I don't think she had suspected anything yet because he hadn't done the test and she hadn't shown up yet. Yet she's still curious. She still suspects something, which doesn't make any sense. And they still have to. So the whole point of time traveling is to undo stupid storylines that should have been started to begin with. And then this leads to them breaking up on Arrow, which I always thought was fucking stupid. Because they're going to get back together anyway. And I hate it when they do that in shows where it's like, will they, won't they? Do the will they, won't they, but don't have them get together and then break up and then get together and break up. It's like 10 years with Ross and Rachel where it's a will they, won't they thing. And that worked for a while. And then they get together. And then they break up. Because you got them together because you didn't know if the show was going to last. And now, we're ratings hit. Could break them up because they're the end game, right? But season 5, we don't know if it's going to go past season 5, so we'll get back together. I think our ratings are pretty good. You can break them apart, even though it's not really. Like, season 4 was like, the end of season 4, they did that. And it's like, maybe they did that because they didn't know. And if they're together at the end of season 4, then they've done their thing. But this season 5 came in and, okay, we're doing pretty good. Get rid of that, break them apart. There's no reason for that. And then there's another time, and again, and then at the end of season 10, and it's like, just, no, already. By the time the end of the season comes, even though I do cry at the end of that, as I mentioned in my review for that, it's just, the will they, won't they stuff, it doesn't work if they get together and break up and get together and break up, is what I'm saying. Like, they're together, and then they're breaking up, and it's like, why? They're going to come back together again. So why? I don't know. And the other one is Malcolm Merlyn shows up at the church or whatever they went, the warehouse that they fought, and scoops up some of the ashes and basically says he's going to come back. Although this is never followed up again. By the time Legends of Tomorrow starts, he's just back. There's no explanation. He's just back. The only explanation they do give is, it doesn't work unless either Kendra or Carter kill him. Which is a cop-out to say, we killed him in a crossover, but he's going to come back on Legends. So we'll just say, neither one of them killed him. That's the only way to kill him. That's a cop-out. That's just like, you killed him, but it's not permanent because it's not either one of them. It's like, but this crossover was decent, I thought. It was fine. It's nothing. Like, I think the next few are better. Mostly because I think they, for the most part, have a more cohesive story. Where they were still trying to shove individual stories from other shows into it. And I think that's where they have the problem. Is they need to focus on the one linear story of the entire crossover and not throw in different stories from the different shows. But I'm just saying. Invasion does this to an extent. Once I get to Invasion, I'll talk about it. But for now, what are your thoughts on Heroes Join Forces, I guess I'll call it. Leave me a comment below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.